Hi everyone, welcome back to my studio today. I'm going to be showing you step by step how to paint this beautiful black and white landscape. For the brushes we're going to be using today, we'll be using titanium white and black on a 16 by 20 stretched canvas. Starting with our large blending brush, get it a little bit wet, then dry it off. We're going to pick up a bit of titanium white and a bit of black, blending directly on the canvas, back and forth, side to side, spreading that paint all around. We want a dark gray color. Picking up more black and bringing it in the center of the canvas. Now some more white. Cover the sides. Slightly darker around the edges. A little bit more black again in the center. This is so that our waterfall really shows up when we add it later on. Now we're going to switch to a small fan brush and start working on our clouds. Tap it lightly into the white, both sides, and just lightly flicking and scooping. Making soft, wispy little clouds. Notice they're smaller and skinnier in the center, and they get larger towards the outside edges of the canvas. This helps to create perspective. I'm going to keep adding them around the edges, both sides of the canvas. Because we're painting wet on wet, we don't really need any water, but depending on the temperature of your room, if it's really warm and your paint is drying quite quickly, then you can use a little bit of water to help softly blend it around. And I'm going to add a little bit more white, tapping lightly and using just the tip of that fan brush to make it skinnier. Now we're going to dip our pinky into the white, tap lightly for a sun. Taking a small flat brush, you can soften the edges and create a ring around it. And then taking a small liner brush, we're going to get even closer and clean up the edges a little bit. Going around and around to smooth it all out. Now back to a large blending brush. You're going to tap it into the black paint. We're using just the tip of the brush now, and you're going to tap tap, tap, tap lightly, creating our hill or a cliff where a waterfall is going to go. So you're lining it up and then you're pulling and sweeping and flicking. So you must do all three to get this waterfall effect. So that's in black. Then you're going to take a clean fan brush, turning it over and pulling in the white, loading both sides. Line it up again. Now very lightly pull and flick. Now you only want to go down with it. You don't want to go up and down with your brush, or you'll lose the little shadows and lines you have through there. Remember, for it to look like water is falling down there, we need to see a little bit of the rocks behind it. It's got to be a little bit see-through. Now if I wanted to do another set of little falls down below, that's how I would do it. Just to give you an idea, you can add some more if you like, but I think I'm going to take that off. I'm going to stick to just the one waterfall. Maybe in a future video I'll show you how to do double waterfalls. So we're just kind of blending along the bottom, softening everything. Now if you feel like you've put way too much white paint on, you can also add a little bit more black after. Flicking up on that black line with black paint and your fan brush again, we're creating an instant forest. So line it up, press and flick. If it's not flicking well, don't go for more paint, get a little bit of water. Now we're making smaller, shorter flicks towards the center, creating more perspective, making it feel like that is far away, and then the tallest trees on either side are closer to us. Well, maybe a little bit of foliage down here below. Tapping, pulling, little flicks. You can create all sorts of bits of moss and grass and even some little rocks if you like. Now to use our Filbert brush, we're going to pull up a skinny line and tap, 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 small to bigger for our trees. When I'm painting small trees, I like to use a small Filbert brush because I have a lot more control. It's a little bit harder to do this with a fan brush unless you can find a really, really small one, but I haven't been able to. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Remember to keep the trees taller on the outside. Load your brush up each time. And your trees are going to gradually get smaller and smaller. Okay, we're going to finish up these little trees and then switch over to our fan brush again. Just want to add another layer of white over top. As the paint soaks in and dries, it gets a bit darker, so I like to go back and add a little bit more highlights and shadows where I need to. I just want to soften around that sun a bit more and create a little bit more of a glow and a ring around it. I just used the small flat brush for that. Look at just adding a bit of white. You can make it look like there's a highlight on some rocks. There's so much you can do. I normally paint, you guys know, with bright neon colors. I haven't done a black and white in a long time, and I just felt like I wanted to show you guys something a bit different. With that Filbert brush again, we're just lightly sweeping and adding little flicks and little scoops of some more white in there. Giving those clouds a little bit of movement and making it feel like they're sweeping up. We're going to switch to a mop brush now. Medium size one. And using it straight up and down, tap it lightly and evenly into your black paint. Starting at the top, slightly over top of part of the waterfall and above, we're going to create the foreground. And this is going to instantly set that waterfall back, nestled into the distance. So tapping, you've got instant bushes and foliage. Remember not to get any water on this mop brush. You'll lose this texture and technique instantly. The brush is still dirty and I'm tapping it into the white so that I can make a shade of gray. Now tap lightly on parts of those bushes that are closest to the waterfall, where that sunlight is going to be hitting them more, rather than the outside of the canvas, because we want that to be more in shadow. Now I'm being really generous with my highlights right now just because I want to keep demonstrating the technique of how to create them for you guys, but I would normally not add this much. Okay, so back to our Filbert. I'm pressing and wiggling to kind of make it fan out a little bit. Titanium white right on the tip. We've got a little hint of some trees and land way back there in the distance. Now adding more white to those bushes right in the foreground. And a little bit here and there in the water. Now for a bit of a reflection in the water, you're just going to press and hold and flick with the black paint and your Filbert brush. Just adding some more highlights again. Straight white paint, no water on your brush. And you'll need a very clean brush for this, no black at all. This one's just about done. I want to thank you guys all for watching, subscribing, and liking my videos. Give this one a try and let me know what you thought. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that now. See you next time.